Welcome one and all to the Cinegeeks podcast where movies, TV, and all things geek collide. I'm Roy, still joined by my lovely co-host Angela.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey Angela. And for today's episode, we will be doing something different as we'll be talking about who we think will win and who we think should win in this year's upcoming Academy Awards, streaming live on Disney Plus in the Philippines this Monday, March 11. Starting at 6:30 in the morning for the red carpet pre-show and 7 in the morning for the main award show proper. Okay. So, ito ba yung parang Miss Universe nating mga cinephiles?
I would say that. Super Bowl din pwede.
Pwede WrestleMania. Ito yung culmination ng kumbaga parang the unofficial 2023 year for movies.
True. And this is one of those few events na talagang gumigising ako ng maaga para dito.
Yes. And by the way, we'd like to thank Disney Plus Philippines for taking on the live streaming duties of this event. Kasi in past years, naalala ko pa nung siguro mga 2003, 2004, nung napanood ko nanalo ng 11 Academy Awards yung Return of the King. Yung na-sweep niya lahat ng category niya. Pinapalabas ba sa Channel 2 yun?
Ay, hindi ko na naabutan yun. Parang 3 years old pa lang ako nun.
Yeah. Tapos, eventually, biglang nawala siya sa nawala siya sa TV. Tapos, kung saan-saan tayong mga questionable streaming sites para lang mapanood natin yung live niya sa States.
Actually, wala pa nung mga YouTube shorts.
Wala.
Pero, inaabangan natin. Sila na mismo yung nag-upload.
Pero siguro mga a few days after pa.
Mga live tweets. Syempre.
Yun, live tweets.
Lan tayo nabubuhay nun sa Twitter.
Pero naalala ko nung, yung 2020 Oscars, yung Parasite Oscars.
2019?
Yung 2019
year yun.
Yung movies. Pero 2020 yung ceremony niya.
Oo.
Yun.
Parang a few days or weeks.
A few weeks before the
lockdown.
Yes. Yung pinanood natin siya sa isang, ano ba yun?
Twitch yata, may nagano.
Hindi, tayo doon? Yung 123 TV. Parang ganun. This is not an endorsement in any way. Just saying na parang we're thankful nga that we finally have an official live stream provider.
Meron ding mga Facebook na nagla-live nun.
Tapos biglang makikita mo,
Basta palipat-lipat tayo na naalala ko eh. Kasi nati-take down.
Tama.
Twitch din.
After 5 minutes, biglang mawawala yung feed. Pero wala nang ganun again for Disney Plus. Pag yung kanilang mga live events, especially yung mga WWE, very, very much reliable sila. Anyway.
True. But before we continue, we'd like to remind everyone who hasn't done so to follow our pod wherever you listen to podcasts, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube.
Also, set your players to automatically download our new episodes so you don't miss out on our fun Cinegeek episodes.
Please don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook Threads, and X, aka Twitter, so you can join in on the Cinegeeks conversation. Also, visit our website, www.cinegeekspod.com, for the latest in movie and TV news and reviews.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So without any further ado,
yes, let's now talk about our picks of who will win and who should win in the 96th edition of the Academy Awards. Alright, so let's start with our first category of the episode, Best Animated Feature. By the way, just a little note, kumbaga. We are not going to be talking about the following categories simply because it's impossible to see the nominees here in the Philippines. So, hindi na natin isasama ang Best Documentary Feature, Best International Film, Best Animated Short, Best Documentary Short, and Best Live Action Short. Okay, so for Best Animated Feature, the nominees are Robot Dreams,
Nimona,
Elemental,
The Boy and the Heron,
and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Okay, so who the prognosticators think will win is the last nominee we will say. Again, is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Ikaw ba, do you think this should win? This movie should win?
Ako, ang prediction ko, The Boy and the Heron will win.
Okay.
Simply because, ang dami na niyang napanalunan dito sa awards run niya
Okay.
So, it's highly likely na dito, since we have the same voters here in the Academy, dun sa ibang mga award-giving bodies, The Boy and the Hero na to.
Okay. Pero don't you think na parang masyado siyang obtuse for the general audience? Kasi ito I'm looking at yung mga nananalo. Okay? Yung so far. So our first parang award show for the season is the Golden Globes, nanalo, Boy and the Heron. Pero a week after, in the Critics' Choice Awards, nanalo si Spider-Man. And then on February 18, in the BAFTAs, nanalo si Boy and the Heron. Now, sa Directors Guild, sa Producers Guild, sa Screen Actors Guild, and sa Writers Guild, or well, siguro we're not gonna include the Writers Guild kasi hindi pa siya mag-show until April 14. Pero for the Directors, Producers, and Screen Actors Guild Awards, nanalo si Spider-Man. So, na-sweep niya yung tatlo. Yun. So, I guess there is a case to be made for The Boy and the Heron. Kasi artistic siya. It's a Hayao Miyazaki film. It's Ghibli.
May
pedigree. Pero don't you think na parang masyado siyang obtuse for the general audience? Not just siguro in terms of the people who watch or tayo mga moviegoers, pero the general audience including everybody else in Hollywood. Don't you think na para siyang masyadong obtuse?
Actually, I chose it because of that fact na sobrang niyang obtuse. It's gonna be talked about years and years from now. Kaya it's gonna stay relevant. Kasi nga, there are so many interpretations that can be derived from this movie.
Yan.
Napaka gandang topic of conversation. Yun yung parang pinakamagandang quality nitong movie na to. Yes, it's obtuse and yes, people take it differently. Pero that was the point. How does it speak to you? And case-to-case basis siya. Just like any other movie that we see, everything is subjective. Everything is unique through the eyes of the beholder. Diba? So, para sa akin, The Boy and the Heron, simply because yun nga, iba-iba yung interpretation ng bawat tao. And it's gonna be such a colorful discussion when you talk about this film.
Pero hindi mo bibigyan ng artistic or ng points yung pagiging entertaining ng Spider-Verse.
Yun yung second ko actually.
Well,
pero kasi, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is an unfinished story. Yun yung sa akin. Kaya hindi ko siya pinili as my top. Kasi, it's a continuing story. And nag-end siya on a cliffhanger. So, parang hindi siya ganun ka-cathartic, hindi siya ganun ka-satisfying, and I'm still waiting on the third film para malaman ko kung ang daming question kasi na iniwan nung Across the Spider-Verse sa akin.
Okay. Fair enough. Ako naman kasi, I mean, not just because I'm a superhero film fan, pero of the three na napanood natin dito sa category na to, including Elemental, unfortunately, medyo kulelat si Elemental para sa akin kasi it's a good movie in terms of yung animation niya. Sobrang creative nung pagkakadepict nila nung city na the elements are living together. Pero nga, sobrang basic nung kwento. It's a love story.
It's kind of disappointing for Disney Pixar.
Yun na nga eh.
Parang huge drop in quality.
So, parang kung dati, pag lumabas yung Pixar, taon-taon alam mo nang sila na yung mananalo. Ngayon, hindi man lang sila makalaban ng maayos dun sa Kasi kahit ikumpara mo siya sa Boy and the Heron, parang walang talab yung Elemental. Hindi ko pipiliin yung Boy and the Heron for Best Animated Feature. As I've said earlier, aside from it, in my personal opinion, not entertaining. Kasi sobrang niyang parang, if there's such a thing as too deep, it's too deep to the point na you don't even know what the movie is about anymore. A lot of people are saying na it's a personal story. Na ito yung kanyang sobrang, siguro na yun publicity talking point na yun yung paulit-ulit na this is Hayao Miyazaki's most personal film. He derived this from his own life. Ako parang, okay, sige, fine. Tingnan natin. Pero, if you're trying to tell a story of your life, you at least have to, especially him, na may history siya of making movies with cohesive narratives. Ito parang, there is absolutely no cohesion in the story whatsoever. Yes, you can try to tell a story na malalim and that will evoke conversation and make people come up with their own interpretations of the film. Pero you're still making a film. Don't forget that. You're still trying to entertain people. Yon. And I think that's what Hayao forgot to do. He forgot to entertain people, na he focused na lang on telling his own story. And I admire him for doing that. But that's why I will give Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse the edge. Kasi yes, although tama ka dun na it's an unfinished story, it's a hell of a lot more entertaining than The Boy and the Heron for me. Yan. So again,
medyo split tayo dito sa
yep.
animated feature.
Pero siya yung odds-on favorite. By the way, we're looking at goldderby.com for the odds, quote-unquote, of these films. So ang odds-on favorite for Best Animated Feature is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. You chose The Boy and the Heron?
Yes.
I'm going still with Spider-Man. Yun, first split of the evening. Anyway, moving forward to our next category.
Yeah.
We have Best Visual Effects. All right. And the nominees are
Napoleon,
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1,
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3,
The Creator,
and Godzilla -1.
All right. Okay, so for this category, 4 out of the 5 films palang ang lumabas dito sa Pilipinas. Godzilla -1 apparently will not have a release here for some reason. Okay. I'm seeing online na parang ang reason is it's too
depressing.
Hindi naman evocative of history and how poorly it went between us and the Japanese nun. Conversation for a different time.
So, MTRCB ang hindi nagpasok dito?
I'm pretty sure na they're one of the obstacles of this film. Kaya hindi siya nire-release.
Okay.
Okay. Kasi ano siya eh. Kaya siya, parang background. Kaya siya Godzilla -1. Kasi it's supposed to be a prequel of the original Godzilla. So si Godzilla is 0. Of course ito, -1. So yun yung ano niya. Pero it's set around the time talagang Japan is at its most lowest after the war, I guess. Kaya siguro hindi pinapalabas sa Pilipinas to because of touchy subject matter. Pero it's the odds-on favorite for Best Visual Effects according to the odds at goldderby.com. And I guess tayo pipili na lang tayo ng ano natin, ng who we think should win kasi hindi pa naman natin napanood to. Of the 4 that we saw, who do you think should win? Best Visual Effects.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yes. We'll have to agree with that if not for the presence of the creator. So the creator ako. Why do you think Guardians Volume 3 should win?
Because of the hyper-realistic effects of the animal characters.
Ay, oo.
Kasi sobrang niya akong pinaiyak.
Isa pa yun.
Kahit na animatronic or ano lang sila.
CGI din.
CGI mocap. Grabe yung humanity na nakita ko dun sa animal characters doon sa movie na yon. So, visual effects was very much a huge part of that. Kaya siya yung winner for me. Very clear winner for me.
True. Ako naman, the creator edges out the Guardians Volume 3 because of how they were able to create MCU-level special effects on what is considered basically a shoestring budget in Hollywood these days. So, ang budget niya ni the creator is $80 million. Maliit na yun these days. Pero yung special effects niya, pwede mong itapat sa Avengers Endgame. Yung mga ganung sobra talagang special effects heavy movies. And although, sige, yes, I will give that to Guardians 3 na they were able to create these wonderful creatures in CGI and other visual effects mediums and that naka-evoke siya ng sobrang strong emotions from us. I would give it to the creator simply because, yun na nga eh, parang they were able to create so much with so little.
The creator created so much.
Yes, I guess. Yun, oo.
Yeah.
Yan. So, for that, those are our choices. Again, Ange went with Guardians Volume 3.
Yeah.
I went with The Creator. And odds-on favorite again is Godzilla -1. Okay, so next.
Next category we have is Best Sound. And the nominees are
The Creator,
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1,
Maestro,
The Zone of Interest.
and Oppenheimer.
Okay. So, which one is your pick?
Well, ano muna natin? Yung who people think will win. Okay, so odds-on favorite is Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Yes. Ako, I think this is the first I will agree with the odds na Oppenheimer for me will win and should win. Kasi sobrang grabe yung sound design nung lalo na dun sa part nung atomic bomb explosion, nung sa experiment in Los Alamos. And well, especially when you're watching a Christopher Nolan film, you're bound to get a technical marvel of a film. So maliban na sa cinematography na maganda, editing, all those good stuff. Of course, best sound. Laging may laban ng sine ni Nolan. And this one is no different. So I'm agreeing with the odds. Oppenheimer for me.
Same. I think you've covered it well dun sa sinabi mo. Especially that one scene. If you listen to our episode of Barbie and Oppenheimer, one of the first podcast episodes that we did here on the Cine Geeks, I was so hyped about the sound of Oppenheimer. Grabe yung effect niya sa akin. Talagang yung, ako naman, yung moment ng bleachers.
Ay, oo, yun din pa. Sorry, nakalimutan ko yun. Tama.
Yun yung para sa aking highlight ng sound. And I always mention this, especially in movies na sobrang nagsashine dun sa sound design. It gives the quality of being immersive eh. So, yung sound ang nagbibigay nun, and Oppenheimer was the best out of this list of nominees. Although we haven't seen 2 of these movies, pero out of the movies that we saw, Oppenheimer para sa akin. I agree with the odds.
Yes, same here. So medyo mabilis tayo sa best sound.
Yeah.
Let's go over to best song. All right. And the nominees are for Killers of the Flower Moon, Wajaje, A Song for My People.
For Flamin' Hot, The Fire Inside.
For American Symphony, It Never Went Away.
For Barbie, I'm Just Ken.
And also for Barbie, What Was I Made For? Okay, so odds-on favorite na manalo dito, who people think will win, is What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish for Barbie. Ako, I will have to disagree.
Yeah. I'm Team Ken.
Ako din. We want I'm Just Ken to win best original song. Simply because it was fun seeing Ryan Gosling sing this song in the film.
Yes. At saka yung dance number, yung production number na yun.
Yun ba yun, no? Yung I'm Just Ken? Oo, tama.
Yun yung lahat ng Ken.
Lahat ng Ken.
Yeah, that was entertaining AF. So, yun yung sa akin. I don't agree with the odds. Although, sobrang close naman ng odds eh.
Oo, tsaka well, pwede mo kasing i-make yung case na yung What Was I Made For is the emotional climax of the film. And it literally was. So, siya yung tugtog dun sa part na kausap na ni Barbie yung kausap niya yung gumawa ng Barbie.
Oo.
Yung ano pangalan ng asawa ni Dan DeVito? Basta siya yung siya yung nag-portray nag-create ng Barbie eh. Yan. So, yun yung background song dun, di ba?
At saka yun din yung message ng buong movie.
I guess.
What was I made for? What's my purpose?
Yan.
Parang ganon.
True. Pero for sheer entertainment value, mas I'm Just Ken talaga.
And mas memorable sa akin yung I'm Just Ken.
True. By the way, Ryan Gosling is performing this live during the ceremony.
So, sana siya yung manalo.
So, we'll be watching out for that. Pretty sure, fingers crossed, sana. Okay. So, let's keep this rolling. Next category is Best Score. Okay. And the nominees are
American Fiction,
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny,
Poor Things,
Killers of the Flower Moon,
and Oppenheimer.
Okay. So, odds-on favorite for this is Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Si Ludwig Göransson,
Yes.
if not mistaken. Ako, siguro dalawa yung may isasagot ko dito na who I think should win. I think Oppenheimer should win. Yes, primarily because I love Ludwig Göransson.
Yes.
He's one of the top living musical score composers living.
Kala ko sabihin best musical scorers.
Pwede. Siya, si Michael Giacchino, and of course, habang nabubuhay pa siya, si John Williams.
Yes.
Hindi
mo isasama sa list mo si Hans Zimmer?
Sorry. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Hans. Yes, kayong apat ang best living musical scorers. Yan.
Yeah.
Pero may soft spot ako for American Fiction. Dahil puro jazz yung kanyang soundtrack.
True.
Kaya, although hindi ako masyadong parang na-entrance nung sine, I found the score entertaining.
Well, kasi taste mo yon.
True. Yun na nga. Kaya nga sa akin parang,
But does that serve the story?
well, that's another story. Ikaw, who do you think should win?
I agree with the odds. Oppenheimer.
Pa rin talaga.
Kasi nga, yung build-up niya, and actually, nakatulong din yung scoring niya dun sa pacing ng movie. Kasi parang it's always flowing, it's always moving, and continuous yung music. So, you don't feel the time. Kasi this is a 3-hour movie. So, the score actually gave you parang the illusion. Kung may optical illusion, meron parang auditory illusion na it's a never-ending scene. Ganon.
Yung isang buong
tuloy-tuloy siya. Oo.
Tama.
So yeah, Oppenheimer.
Ako siguro special mention na lang to Poor Things. Ay parang sobrang, ano ba pwedeng term? Naisip ko wacky pero parang sobrang namang deductive nung term na yun.
Fantastical.
Sige, I'll give it that. Napaka far out fantastical nung soundtrack ng Poor Things. Lalo na yung kanyang paggamit ng hindi conventional na musical cues. Yun.
Oo.
And it's akmang-akma siya doon sa film na ina-accompany niya.
Oo. Kasi the score sets the tone of the movie and in every scene. So parang you're in for a very bizarre time.
Yun, true. That's also what I'm looking for. Tama.
Kapag yung Poor Things na-establish nung music, what you're supposed to feel. So yeah, yun din yung runner-up ko eh.
Yung Poor Things dapat. Itong Indiana Jones na lang to. The John Williams Memorial Nomination.
Oo. Because John Williams is John Williams.
Siguro kahit maglabas ng isang scene na sobrang basic lang ng score ni John Williams, manonominate pa rin yun.
Pero wala kasing bago.
Oo.
Walang bago na ano.
At saka so, by the way, Indiana Jones is the first ever film we talked about on this podcast.
Our first podcast episode ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, hindi memorable yung score niya.
Yeah.
Hindi nga niya ginamit yung dun sa scene masyado eh.
Actually, yung movie was actually
true. Yes, of course.
Hindi rin talaga siya
Hey, if you wanna hear our full thoughts, episode 1, yay. Pero yun nga, sinabi mo kanina sa Oppenheimer na a good score helps the movie flow. And siguro isa sa weaknesses ng Indiana Jones yung score kasi parang disparate elements disjointed siya.
Yeah.
Na elements na merong scene na trying to do one thing and then the score is trying to do something else. Na hindi siya nagja-jive.
Tsaka musical score actually parang yun yung ebbs and flows nung emotion eh. So parang when the score builds up, the emotion builds up. Tapos kapag release na ng ng pressure, yung music din, yung musical score din na mag-cue sa'yo na, okay, this is not a heavy scene anymore. You can relax. Parang ganun.
So,
and dun sa Indiana Jones, you don't know how to feel most of the time. Kasi nga, the score does not guide you.
Yes, it doesn't. It feels weird. May mga slow scenes na parang may ganung may propulsive na tugtog na parang wait, kakalma ba ako? Hindi. Tapos pag may mga action scene, yung ibang tugtog na parang sobrang parang hala. Ang weird.
Kaya nga napaka one note niya, napaka monotonous niya.
Oo.
Kasi yung score also did not help give you the right kind of emotional flow. Ganon. Anyways,
yes, let's move on to our next category, Best Production Design. And the nominees are
Napoleon,
Killers of the Flower Moon,
Oppenheimer,
Barbie.
and Poor Things.
Okay. Poor Things. Odds-on favorite to win?
Yeah.
Do you think this should win as well?
Oo. This is an easy win for Poor Things. I mean, buong movie, siya, as in studio.
True.
So, it was all production. Magtataka ako kung meron talagang totoong lugar na ganun. Na on-set nila, nadatnan na ganun at wala ng production design.
Ano siya nakakadagdag siya dun sa Python-esque quality ng sine. Yung production design niya sobrang bizarre and fantastical. Diba?
And dreamlike.
Dreamlike, yes. Ikaw, hindi mo ba bibigyan ng credence yung or ng credit yung bang sinabi na balita na inubos ng Barbie yung supply ng pink paint sa mundo? Yun na balita doon.
Actually, wala ka nang kailangang i-imagine dun sa production na yun Just put pink on everything. Ganun lang kadali sa Barbie.
Plus, may inspiration naman sila ng mga sets, mga doll sets ni Barbie over the years.
Tsaka, blocky yung colors niya.
Yeah.
Wala masyadong intricacy or parang complexity dun sa production design. Blocky, very plasticky. Although, yes, it's colorful and vivid. Pero, it's a toyland.
Come to life.
Yes. So, maganda rin yung set niya, pero may mga parts din naman sa movie na set in California.
Yun ang sa kanya Hindi constant yung parang pag-appear nung standout na production design. Ayan.
Same as the other nominees, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Actually, sa akin, I'm a bit disheartened na sobrang baba ng odds nitong personal favorite ko. Although I know that Poor Things will win and I'm gonna be happy if they do. Gusto ko sanang magkaroon ng shot yung Napoleon. I enjoyed that film personally, and siguro isa sa mga nakatulong na mag-transport nung sa akin as an audience member is ang ganda ng production design niya. Ang linis ng pagkakagawa, hindi ka parang yung, sorry, we're gonna be using that term again, hindi siya parang episode ng Bayani, tignan. Sobrang, parang what you would really see if you were in France during that time period with Napoleon. Ang ganda nung production design, and I guess it being nominated is recognition enough. Pero yeah, I'll also say na Poor Things will win. And I guess should win.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Next one.
Next category, we have Best Makeup and Hairstyling.
Okay.
And the nominees are
Golda,
Society of the Snow,
Oppenheimer,
Poor Things,
and Maestro. Okay. Odds-on favorite to win is Maestro.
Bakit? Dahil dun sa ilong.
Sa ilong.
Oh my God. Yun lang. I-award na nila. Dapat i-award nila sa Saltburn. Just because of the scene of Barry Keoghan pala.
Do you think prosthetic yun? I don't
prosthetic yun, sinabi niya na.
Sinabi ba?
Oo. Oo.
Hindi
Sinabi niya.
Okay.
Merong interview.
Okay. So,
pero I'm sure not a lot of people know that, kaya aakalain nila si Barry Keoghan talaga yun. Pero kung prosthetic lang pala yung pag-usapan, Saltburn na ako. Tanggalin lahat ng nominee na to.
Hindi na nominee. Pero sa akin walang okay. I mean, yun talaga.
Ako, Poor Things ang pick
ko. Oo
naman,
Poor Things talaga. I mean, no question about that. Jesus Christ. Yung pa lang yung sa mga kay Willem Dafoe pa lang
Oo.
Diyos ko.
Tsaka yung makeup ni Bella Baxter, nagbabago kapag iba na yung stage ng life niya dun sa Poor Things.
True.
Yun, yung prosthetic ni Willem Dafoe.
Yun. At saka yung yung mga makeup and hairstyling nila Mark Ruffalo, nila Rami Youssef. Diba? It's et al.
et al.
Sobrang creative. Nakakatuwa na makitang ganun yung nila, yung kanilang ayos. Very akma para dun sa sine. I'm sorry pero if we're just gonna go with it's the nose para sa maestro, my God.
Weak.
Anyway,
let's move on
to best film editing next. Okay.
And the nominees are
The Holdovers,
Poor Things,
Killers of the Flower Moon,
Anatomy of a Fall,
and Oppenheimer. All right. Odds on favorite to win? Oppenheimer.
Agree
Tayo?
Yeah.
Sobrang galing nung pagkakakwento nung film basically. Kasi I don't know if you guys have heard this adage, pero they say na a movie is born in the editing bay. Kasi kahit sobrang galing ng performances, sobrang ganda ng mga shot, coverage, etc.
And the screenplay,
kung hindi may pagtatagpi-tagpi ng matino yung sine, hindi gagana yung sine.
And for a 3-hour film, to feel that compressed and propulsive and yun nga, buo.
Hindi ka nakakaramdam ng oras habang pinapanood mo.
Well, kasi naman tayo din, we have no problems with
length. Pero this film earned $1 billion. So, I mean, I guess people enjoyed it enough to see it over and over, and time apparently wasn't an issue for them kasi ang ganda ng flow ng kwento.
And not to mention dalawa yung timeline na kinukwento niya.
Yun pa.
So, editing is a crucial
element
kapag gano'n. And I think we also highlighted that on our episode, Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yes, we did.
The editing was top-notch.
Immaculate. Siguro, special mention na lang, I would say, would be given to the runner-up ng mga prognosticators, which is Anatomy of a Fall. Kasi for a movie about what is essentially a trial or a courtroom drama about the end of a marriage, hindi ka nakakaramdam nung what do you call this? Nung lull sa kwento. Actually, if anything, sobrang exciting niyang panoorin. Nakaka-transfix panoorin siya kasi nga ang ganda ng flow nung especially yung courtroom scenes. Yun.
Yeah.
Tsaka, I don't know if I've said this to you na meron siyang element of parang docudrama, yung pagkaka-shoot nung sine. Na yung parang,
it keeps you glued to your screen.
Oo, parang kang nanonood ng documentary na may mga ibang scene na ang pagkakashoot is yung standard scene coverage na ganyan, may blocking, whatever. Pero dun sa courtroom, parang may mga
handheld.
Na handheld. Oo. And naipagtagpi-tagpi niya yung scenes na in such a way that didn't feel boring or dragging. Oo. Sometimes pag sinabing courtroom drama, ano ba yan? Ganyan. Pero yun nga sa akin yung pinaka-exciting na part niya yung courtroom drama.
Yes, same. Yeah, I agree.
So kung hindi man manalo si Oppenheimer, if it's Anatomy, we have no problem with that. Yep.
Okay. Next category, we have Best Costume Design.
Alright, and the nominees are
Napoleon,
Oppenheimer,
Killers of the Flower Moon,
Poor Things,
and Barbie.
Barbie, the odds-on favorite
to
win, according to Gold Derby's odds. Ako, I have to disagree.
Poor Things ako.
Yes, same.
Oo. Mas memorable and distinct. And original and very imaginative yung costume sa Poor Things.
Siguro yung laban neto sa costume design is more quality over quantity. Kaya lang siguro sabihin nating odds-on favorite si Barbie kasi mas madami siyang unique designs. Of course, it's freaking Barbie land.
Pero kasi lahat ng mga damit ng Barbies doon were already made for the doll.
Or inspired by the doll. Yan, ganun.
Hindi. As in talagang yun na yung damit nung toy na Barbie over the years since Barbie was created. Oo. So parang ginawa lang nila.
It's true.
Tinahilang nila according to the designs of, the original Barbie toy.
Yeah.
Pero, so, nasan yung imagination dun kung ginaya nila?
Yun na nga. Kaso nga, exactly. And ang category is Best Costume Design.
Oo, wala na silang i-design doon. Ginaya lang nila yung mga nandun na sa yung Barbie na Business Barbie, President Barbie, di ba?
Mga ganong themes. And yeah, I would agree na Poor Things was a much more imaginative film with its costumes na sobrang unique, sobrang imaginative, again. Basta mas siya, mas talagang parang nanonood ka ng something original. With what you were seeing on screen, and the costume is a big part of that.
Yes.
Okay. The others siguro are period costumes, films, Killers, Oppenheimer, tsaka Napoleon. So,
nothing we haven't seen
before. Yeah. Pero maganda pa rin yung craft. So I guess the nominations are deserving recognition for them.
Pero ang pinaka nag-shine talaga was Poor Things.
Poor Things, yes. I totally agree. Okay, so we are now getting to the meat of our discussion. Okay, so buckle up, everyone. Let's start with Best Cinematography. And the nominees are?
El Conde,
Maestro,
Poor Things,
Killers of the Flower Moon,
and Oppenheimer.
Alright, odds-on favorite, Oppenheimer to win. And I guess we're in agreement that this should win.
Parang naghahati ako sa Oppenheimer and Poor Things.
Okay.
Kasi yung framing talaga ng Poor Things adds to the bizarro worldview ni Yorgos Lanthimos. Especially yung mga moments na bigla na lang siyang nagiging fish eye, bigla na lang siyang nagiging sobrang, basta ang weird nung mga shots niya. Which adds to the weirdness of the entire film.
Yes. I totally agree with that. Na at least Poor Things deserves some sort of recognition nga for its visuals na sobrang niyang talagang transportative, evokes the weirdness or the bizarre nature of the proceedings. Yun nga, yung gusto ko yung sinabi mo doon na yung pag nagiging fish eye siya. Tapos even yung yung mga scenes na nasa isang buong frame lahat. Tapos ang daming nangyayari at the same time. Na yung feeling of chaos din, yun, nakikita mo doon. Basta ang imaginative, we're gonna be using that term a lot for Poor Things. Kasi it can only come from someone with such a vivid imagination.
Yes, agree.
And I guess ang ganda nung pagkakapili nila doon sa cinematographer that he matched his vision with Yorgos Lanthimos, si Robbie Ryan. And siguro kaya mas naglilin naman ako na manalo ang Oppenheimer, na hindi siya yung parang sentimental favorite para sa akin yung Poor Things . Pero yung talagang parang pragmatic choice is Oppenheimer. Kasi anytime you're trying to shoot a very epic scale na scene, tapos gagawin mo pa in IMAX, na there's something about the visual medium of large formats. Yun nga, IMAX 70mm film na talagang nakaka-enthrall. Sobrang breathtaking niya. Yun . May iba siyang level of wonder na nabibigay sa'yo. Kasi kay Poor Things, yung sa akin, yung visuals niya is quirky and fun. Ganun siya, parang siyang, parang iba yung kiliti niya .
Oo. Tsaka parang, eye-popping nung mga shots ni Poor Things.
Oo. Pero kasi, sa Oppenheimer, grand, sweeping, epic.
Emotional.
That evokes super
strong emotions. Yeah.
Talaga. And hindi lang siya dun sa mga parang malalaking set pieces like them creating the bomb or yung mga shot ng Los Alamos. Kahit din dun sa dun sa mga intimate na mga scenes, yung mga close-up ni Cillian Murphy, ganon. Kahit dun especially dun na close-up tas IMAX pa. Iba yung pakiramdam niya as compared to yung watching Poor Things . Nakaka-transfix, sobrang nakakatulala. Yun, for the lack of a better term. So that's why ako personally, I'll agree with the odds na Oppenheimer is gonna win. Pero yun nga, again, I'm not gonna be mad if Poor Things wins. Kasi it's equally deserving.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, our next category is Best Original Screenplay, and the nominees are
May, December,
Maestro,
Past Lives,
The Holdovers.
Anatomy of a Fall.
Okay. Odds-on favorite is Anatomy of a Fall. Ako, hati ako dito sa category na to. On one end, I would agree na, okay, Anatomy of a Fall should win kasi it made the courtroom drama accessible and, dare I say, exciting without sacrificing the somberness of its subject matter. And I can credit that to excellent writing. Pero sa akin, mas Past Lives. Sana.
Ako, ang pick ko dito, dalawa din. Holdovers tsaka Past Lives.
Yan. Although, nung nireview natin yung Past Lives dati, sobrang G ako dun sa sine. Dahil dun
What
sa...
are you talking about? You had glowing reaction.
Siguro, parang sinabi ko dun is, I was split if I liked it or not dahil dun sa pagkakapresenta nila sa character ni John Magaro.
Team John Magaro ka nga nun.
Yun. Exactly. Yun na nga.
And by the way we had this poll dun sa episode na yun. Kung Team John Magaro or Team Teo Yu. Ang nanalo si Team John Magaro, si Team Husband.
Team Arthur, yes. Over time, siguro nag-grow siya sa akin. Mas naintindihan ko na kung ano yung parang what he was trying to go for. Na yung ganong ambiguity of emotion and what the movie is wanting you to feel. Yeah. I would say na, yun nga, you can credit that to excellent writing. Ikaw ba?
Di ba mas affected ka sa Holdovers kesa sa Past Lives?
Oo. Holdovers was excellently written. Pero ang dami na natin napanood na ganong sine before eh. It wasn't something new. Although, yeah, we've seen yung mga ganyang mga romantic drama. Pero ang ganda nung hook ni Past Lives eh.
True.
Mas may bibigyan ko siya ng edge over the Holdovers. Sad to say. Ikaw
Actually,
ba?
siya din yung pick ko eh, Past Lives.
Sanang how so?
Yun nga, I think you already said everything. Yung writing ng mga characters, yun talagang center stage dito sa movie na to. And ang ganda ng pagkakasulat ng mga characters. They were very human. They were very real. Especially the husband. Pero, ayun.
Okay. So, let's go over our next category. Best Adapted Screenplay. And the nominees are
The Zone of Interest,
Poor Things,
Barbie,
Oppenheimer,
and American Fiction.
Okay. Odds-on favorite to win is American Fiction. Do you agree na it should win?
I mean, it's a good story. I haven't read the original source. Pero kung yun yung pinakamagandang adaptation, then I guess may naman to. May naman tong odds na gusto nila American Fiction. Pero it doesn't speak to me kasi it's more about race stereotype about them. I can't relate to that personally. So, yun. Oppenheimer ang pick ko dito eh.
True. Same actually. Kasi, yan nga, you said na it doesn't speak to us. That's one aspect of it. Another is, it just doesn't stand out. It's not a story na parang, for the lack of a better term, it's not cinematic. It's not enthrall. Hindi siya nakaka-enthrall. Hindi siya sobrang parang, okay, I want to keep watching what happens next. Kasi, there is a point in American Fiction na parang, okay, you have my attention, or you have my curiosity nung tinatype niya yung opening lines or opening na part nung kanyang novel, yung, alam mo, yung fuck, yung sinulat niya. Pero, I would have loved it kung nagtuloy-tuloy yun. Yung ganong imaginative.
Parang Stranger Than Fiction.
Parang Stranger Than Fiction, oo.
Well, it's an American fiction.
Well, true. Oo. Pero parang dun lang tumigil. Tapos, after nun, wala na. Straightforward na siya. Tapos, pabalik na lang sa dulo ulit. Too little, too late. Yung kanyang creativity. Nung pinipitch na niya kay Adam Brody yung kung paano niya gustong tapusin yung quote-unquote biopic niya.
Yeah, true. It's very streaming movie feels.
Yun, oo.
Hindi nga siya ganun ka-cinematic.
Hindi.
And yung subject topic niya din kasi it's about books. So, parang, yun, tinranslate nila into film pero not enough to keep us excited about it.
True. Oppenheimer, was adapted from a literal textbook na
Tsaka historical yun eh.
na biography. Pero nagawa ni Nolan na gawing exciting yung buhay ni Oppenheimer. Plus yung kanyang 2 timeline na na approach pa. So it's creativity on full display. Meron kang hook na that is maintained all throughout. Hindi lang siya parang naisipang style tapos biglang iniwan na lang sa ere.
Yes.
Pero yeah, I guess we're gonna disagree with the odds here. Both of us select Oppenheimer for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Alright.
Okay. Next category is Best Supporting Actor. Ito na, medyo we're getting into the personal locks natin, I guess.
The major
awards, yes. So for Best Supporting Actor, the nominees are
Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction,
Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon,
Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things,
Ryan Gosling for Barbie,
and Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer.
Alright. Wala naman tayo ata ibang choice dito. Yeah.
I think this is a sweep for Robert Downey.
His long overdue Oscar. Some say na dapat siya nanalo sa Chaplin nun. So, many years later, the Academy is gonna do right by him.
If they're gonna follow last year's Oscars na yung mga legacy awards na hindi nila nabigyan for better roles dati, binigyan nila ng awards this time. Like si Jamie Lee Curtis and Brendan Fraser.
Pero I wouldn't say na legacy award tong kay Downey. Kasi, magaling naman siya talaga.
And magaling din naman siya sa Oppenheimer.
Oo, hindi naman. So, hindi siya parang dahil, we're giving this to you for Chaplin, sorry Hindi naman. And siguro, to that, ko lang yung sa The Whale, yung kay Fraser. Magaling talaga siya doon. I mean,
true.
That's the first parang Oscar-worthy role na ginawa niya in ever. And I'm glad na he won. Pero I guess the conversation here isn't about who should win kasi it's Downey. Pero ako, I personally think na hindi dapat na-nominate si Sterling K. Brown.
They cloned Tyrone lang yung performance niya dito.
Napaka one note ng performance niya.
And he wasn't even pivotal to the story.
Yun na nga true. Kung ako, papalitan ko si Sterling K. Brown ni Coleman Domingo.
For?
The Color Purple. Yun.
I agree.
Talaga.
Ang galing ni Coleman Domingo dun. And yun nga when you say na best supporting actor, kailangan yung character and yung performance niya was crucial to the whole story. Si Sterling K. Brown alam mo yun, pwede siyang tanggalin sa story, pwede siyang tanggalin sa movie, and it won't mean anything.
Actually,
walang magbabago.
Oo nga, no? Parang napaka-ineffectual, napaka-irrelevant yun dun sa grand scheme nung American Fiction.
Oo, pwedeng hindi na lang siya sinama.
True.
Mas importanteng yung role nung sister kaysa sa kanya.
Kahit sobrang iksi lang ng role ng sister niya. Mas importante pa siya. True.
Wala siyang impact dun sa story.
Kaya nga. Kasi mas na flesh out nung relationships niya sa nanay niya yung dilemma niya about family. Kaysa dun sa relationship niya kay Sterling K. Brown nung kay Jeffrey Wright. Anyway.
Also, Mark Ruffalo was spectacular in this. Pero, siguro, more roles like this in the future.
Isa pang parang Poor Things kay Mark Ruffalo.
Tsaka beshies naman sila ni Robert Downey.
So, kung either one of them wins, we're not gonna be mad, pero we know it's gonna be Downey. You can take that to the bank. Okay. Next one, Best Supporting Actress. And the nominees are
Jodie Foster for Nyad,
America Ferrera for Barbie,
Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple,
Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer,
and Da'Vine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers.
Okay. So, the favorite to win is, and has always been, Da'Vine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Ikaw, do you agree? Or do you have anybody else here na you think should win?
I think they all did very strong performances naman in their respective roles. Ito nga yung pinakamagandang list ng nominees para sa akin Deserving lahat.
Okay. Kahit si Jodie Foster?
I haven't seen Nyad, so I can't say. Si Da'Vine Joy Randolph, yung talagang very, very crucial yung presence niya dun sa movie. For me, siya yung pick ko din.
Davine ka talaga. Okay.
Emily Blunt was a close second kasi ang strong din ng performance niya although sobrang iksi kasi. And Danielle Brooks naman, parang hindi campaigned ng maayos ng Warner. Kaya hindi siya napag-usapan.
Do you think Danielle Brooks did a better job than Davine?
Magkaiba kasi sila ng Tsaka, ito lang kasi yung edge ni Davine. I mean, Danielle Brooks' role was Sophia and it was portrayed by Oprah.
Sa original.
Sa original, The Color Purple. So, may shadow ni Oprah yung character So, tapos hindi ko lang alam kung nanalo din si Oprah nun, pero napaka-memorable ni Oprah dun. I'm not sure if na pantayan niya or nalampasan niya. Although, I know Danielle Brooks pa from Orange is the New Black and she's really good. Pero siguro more roles pa. Total, unang nomination pa lang naman niya, di ba?
I guess,
Mas human kasi and mas affecting yung performance ni Davine. Kasi it's not about race it's just about pain.
Mm-hmm.
So, personally, mas nakarelate ako dun sa character ni Davine sa Holdovers.
Okay.
For somebody grieving and more in trying to be strong and ayun nga, understanding people in pain as well. Yon. Mas gusto ko talaga si Davine.
Well, ako personally, I agree with what you said until we saw The Color Purple and talagang nasapawan niya ni Danielle Brooks dun sa kanyang performance sa Sophia. I guess it's a different conversation altogether. Yung if parang the shadow of remake. Kasi yun yung pitfall ng remake Lagi kang makukumpara dun sa original. Unfortunately. Pero if we're just taking the movie on at face value, siya mismo. Ang galing ni Danielle Brooks dun. Talagang sa isang scene na sobrang daming standouts. Siya yung pinaka nag-stand out.
Yeah.
Yun. We were talking about this yesterday after we saw it. Siguro parang kinumpara natin siya na parang Jennifer Hudson sa Dreamgirls. Yung galing niya.
Actually, kinumpara natin si Fantasia.
Si Fantasia pala. Sorry. Well, ako, I would put her in the same boat. Dun sa ganung level of impact niya sa role niya as Sophia. Hindi mag-hit home yung point of trials and tribulation and parang triumph over it kung wala yung arc ni Sophia and nagampanan siya admirably in spades ni Danielle Brooks. Medyo nakulangan ako ng konti dun sa bida, which is si Fantasia. When we'll get to her and the discussion around Best Actress later on. Pero mas talagang nag-stand out for me na si Danielle Brooks. Although I know na Davine will win just because para siyang si Downey na she's been winning all the awards na. So it's eventually gonna be her. Pero yun nga, sayang hindi siya kinampanyan ng maayos. Si Brooks.
Yun yung kulang. Sayang.
True. Okay, let's go along this list. Next is Best Actor. And the nominees are
Coleman Domingo for Rustin,
Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction,
Bradley Cooper for Maestro,
Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers,
and last but not the least, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer.
Yes. Odds-on favorite, then I guess our choice to win as well.
Cillian Murphy. Easy.
Nag-make ng late push si Paul Giamatti for Best Actor. Pero
medyo late
Oo, tsaka apples and oranges yung performance nila Para siyang hindi mo siya may kukumpara. And not in a positive way. Kung ginagamit yung statement na yon, parang masyadong ano bang term to? Masyadong minimalist, simplistic yung not simplistic yung pagkaka-perform, hindi pero yung in the sense of the story.
Understated.
Napaka-understated nung performance niya. Na in any other year, na nominated yung performance ni Paul Giamatti, he would win. Walang problema. Kasi sa kanya yung pinaka-affecting, pinaka-emotive yet understated na performance. Pinaka parang may levity na hindi forced. It's him imbibing this character with this vulnerability, yes. Yung worldview niya na wala na siyang iba magawa kundi tawanan na lang yung kanyang lot in life. And again, in any other year, he would win. Pero merong Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer.
I think we already discussed this then, na the role of Oppenheimer asks more from the actor. Na talagang, napaka-enigmatic historical figure niya eh. And it's bigger shoes to fill, kumbaga. So, para sa akin, talagang mas demanding yung role ni Oppenheimer. And mas nabigyan talaga ng justice ni Cillian Murphy. And he became Oppenheimer.
Diba? How do you imbibe a larger-than-life figure with such humanity? Or some would say, the lack thereof. Diba? Yung paano mo mapipinta ng isang intimate picture, yung ganong sobrang titan of history as Oppenheimer. How do you make him and his tale accessible?
True.
Yun. And a huge part of that is Cillian Murphy's performance.
Oo, grabe.
Galing niya. And he will also win this. Luck na to. Okay. This next category, medyo hindi ito luck. Yeah. Medyo I'm anticipating a split here again. This is for Best Actress.
Yeah.
And the nominees are
Annette Bening for Naiad.
Carey Mulligan for Maestro.
Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall.
Emma Stone for Poor Things.
And Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon.
Okay. Lily Gladstone, the odds-on favorite. In my opinion, for some reason. Bakit siya biglang naging odds-on favorite?
Siguro dahil na-outshine niya yung mga considered best of the best. Si Robert De Niro tsaka si Leonardo DiCaprio. How does one fresh face sa awards circuit si Lily Gladstone? Paano niya natabunan or nasapawan tong mga yung mga multiple best actor nominees na to?
True. Pero wouldn't you say na Emma Stone carried the movie on her shoulders?
Yeah. Parang may news nga, masakit pa rin daw yung likod niya.
Diba? Buti nga ako masakit eh. Ako sa akin, parang feeling ko, bali na yung likod niya
sa pagbuhat ng Poor Things, diba? Para sa akin, Poor Things eh.
Oo, talaga. Emma Stone,
no?
All the way. And this is not to discredit or reduce yung achievement ni Lily Gladstone. Pero kasi, she's basically acting for half of the movie lang. Screen time, oo, malami siyang acting na. Pero para sa akin, nawala na yung pagiging best act or lead actress niya dun sa sine nung naging naging immobile na siya.
Oo. Tsaka ang passive niya kasing character.
Yun pa.
Parang wala siyang, hindi niya pinopropel yung kwento. Nagre-react lang siya. Lagi. Dun sa mga nangyayari. So parang kahit yung character niya wasn't that strong.
Oo.
If we're just talking about performance ng acting, mas maraming nilabas si Emma Stone.
Quite literally.
Mas demanding din yung role niya.
True.
Not to mention, Emma Stone was acting in a different accent.
Oo.
Na hindi mo na napapansin, na hindi talaga siya British.
Yun na nga eh. After, siguro first 5 minutes lang siya parang, okay, British. Emma Stone. Pero after nun, parang, okay, you accept it. And that's a testament to her skill as an actress.
Actually, mas ilalaban ko pa si Emma Stone kay Sandra Huller.
Ay, oo, talaga. Ibang klase yun. Yun din, kung para siyang siguro yung kay Paul Giamatti, yung si Sandra Huller, na if there was no Lily Gladstone and no Emma Stone for the nominees.
Ang galing yan. Ang galing din niya. Oo. Yung ambiguity niya, na para siyang poker face lagi. Hindi mo talaga alam kung, did she do it? Or,
hindi. Ano ba talaga? Oo.
Diba? Kung innocent ba siya? Parang napaka-blanco ng mukha niya. Para siyang blank sheet. Ganon.
Parang it's the rare case na non-acting leads to better acting.
She reminds me actually of the late Jacqueline Jose. Kasi kaya niyang maging over the top. Kaya din niyang maging sobrang understated na to the point na, may pakiramdam ka ba?
Oo.
Oo, parang wala kang, Pero kapag ka nagmo-moments of vulnerability siya, nararamdaman mo na, okay, she's still human after all.
Yes.
Nakakaramdam pa rin pala siya.
Talaga. Special mention again to Sandra Holler. Pero for us, it's Emma Stone.
Emma Stone.
Should win.
Mhm.
Should win.
Pero ang galing kasi ng campaign ni Lily Gladstone Ang lakas ni Marty. Feeling ko. Ang lakas niya sa Academy.
Si Apple yan. Si Tim Cook ang nangangampanya para sa kanila. Diyos ko.
Oo.
Anyway. Okay, ito. Next category will be a lock. Talaga.
You think?
Wala na to. He should win. He should win.
Has he ever won?
He's never won. That's why I think that he will and should win. But again, without any further ado, Best Director, the nominees are
Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon.
Justin Triet for Anatomy of a Fall.
Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest.
Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things.
And last but definitely not the least, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer.
Wala na to. It's his to lose. Talaga.
Sabi ng Nolan fanboy.
Talagang may dayaan na nangyari kung hindi siya nanalo. Kasi parang,
baka si Vivica Babaji.
Oh, wow! Get this. Take this. Tatay, tapos susugod bigla si Lolit Soli sa stage pag iba yung nanalo. Lalabas si Alfredo Lim bigla.
Magkakaroon ng hearing.
Magkakaroon ng bigla. Investigation immediately after.
Dumating sa Senate yun, di ba?
I think so.
O, di ba? Bongga.
Pero, not diminishing the achievements of the other nominees except for Jonathan Glazer na hindi pa natin napanood.
Mm-hmm.
Martin is Martin.
Mm-mm.
It's, if I'm not mistaken, nanalo siya dati for The Departed. So, okay na yun. And in my opinion, it's a much better film than Killers, The Departed.
Yes.
Infinitely better.
And ang dami niya na ring movies na better than Killers of the Flower Moon.
True. That's true.
To be honest.
Justin Triet deserves that nomination din. Kasi,
ang tanong, bakit, di ba, let's just address the elephant in the room.
Sige, go.
Dahil nandito na rin naman tayo kay Justin Triet. Bakit hindi na nominate sa tingin mo si
Greta Gerwig?
Yeah.
For Barbie?
Mm-mm.
Good old-fashioned sexism.
Isa lang talagang babae ang pwedeng...
Yun na nga Di ba? Parang, bakit may mundo na sinasabi na mas magaling yung ginawa ni Marty sa Killers of the Flower Moon Hindi yung entire filmography niya. Okay? In what world is Killers of the Flower Moon better than Barbie? Killers of the Flower Moon was immersive. Sure. It was transportative. Yes. Performances were engrossing. Sure. But it was boring as fuck.
Yeah. It went on and on and on.
Oo. If sa Oppenheimer...
Matapos. Sorry.
Sorry. Kung sa Oppenheimer, hindi mo naramdaman yung 3 hours niya. Sa Killers of the Flower Moon, ramdam mo yung 3.5 hours niya. Every second of it.
Diba? May moment nga yata na nakatulog na ako during our second viewing. Kasi nga...
Second? We didn't even watch it. We just watched it once.
Once lang ba?
Yeah.
Diba? Sa sobrang tagal niya, feeling ko 2 beses ko na siyang pinanood. Parang 2 sine na yung pinanood ko.
Diba?
Dun sa duration na yun.
And although, yes, I am a stickler for cinema etiquette, and I think may mga napagalitan natin tayo mga bata na nag-YouTube sa likod natin dun sa Killers of the Flower Moon, I couldn't blame them for using their phones na. Kasi parang lagpas 3 oras na ata nang biglang may naglabas ng YouTube tapos ang lakas-lakas ng volume.
Parang half-day duty na yata yung halos 4 na oras.
Ano yung tawag dun sa Ano yung title nun sa honest trailer? Killer of a Whole Afternoon.
Killer of a Whole Afternoon.
Tama naman.
Yeah.
Diba?
Sounds right.
Pero Martin Scorsese and his achievements are set in stone. And I guess he would be the first to say na if there's someone more deserving of the spot, then he would give it up himself. And wala old boys club ang Oscars
True.
Dito lumalabas yon sa nomination.
Kasi alam mo yung kahit na anong ilabas niya yata kahit yata maglabas siya ng something na animated or Korean, basta may nakalagay na Martin Scorsese, ilalagay nila dyan
Ito, check ko lang Kasi I think yung Hugo na scene niya na ganoon sabi mo animated, 'di ba? Tapos hindi naman to animated. Pero
Produced niya ba?
Hindi, siya director. 'Di ba yung Hugo na yung parang fantasy film? Yes, best director nominated.
O, 'di ba? Itapal mo lang yung pangalan niya kahit saan manonominate siya eh. Yung, ang dami niya itong Frenny.
Let's move forward na. I guess we can agree that Christopher Nolan is gonna win. Should win, will win.
Yes. And must win.
Must win. Oo.
Okay.
Okay. Finally, we have reached the big one. Finally. Yes. Almost pushing 2 hours na tayo sa ating discussion. Pero we have finally arrived at Best Picture. Okay. And the nominees are Past Lives,
Maestro,
The Zone of Interest,
American Fiction,
Barbie,
Killers of the Flower Moon,
Anatomy of a Fall,
Poor Things,
The Holdovers,
and Oppenheimer.
Okay. So, odds-on favorite, Oppenheimer. Do you think it will win?
I sure hope so.
Do you think it should win?
Well, just leaning over all the categories na Oppenheimer yung best. I think Oppenheimer should win kasi it has so many elements in the film na siya yung nag-shine talaga. Siya yung outstanding. Not to mention, our best pick for best director is Christopher Nolan. So, obviously, the film that the best director made should be the best picture.
Well, should be. Pero ang daming instances na yung best director award sa Oscars hindi minsan nananalo. Case in point, let me double check. Yun, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma. Ang nanalo dun
Green Book.
for some godforsaken reason, Green Book.
Actually, hindi lang naman yan dyan eh.
Damien Chazelle, La La Land. Okay, sure. Moonlight, good film. Pero La La Land was...
Moon Knight?
Moonlight. Moonlight.
Okay.
Oo. Ano pa?
Ano, si Pepe Joc, no?
Yun. Ayun. Yun na lang. Local na lang, di ba?
Tapos ang best picture, Firefly. Although maganda rin naman yung Firefly.
Yeah, that's true. Pero, yun na nga this is the rare confluence of the best director, frontrunner, making literally the best film. Talaga. Wala kang may, sa akin wala kang may lalaban dun sa iba. Dun sa 4 na napanood natin. Sa 10 napanood natin pala, sorry. Wala kang mai lalaban talagang sobrang parang contender.
That
comes close. Poor Things.
Poor Things, so
Yes.
pero it doesn't come close to the epicness of Oppenheimer.
Yung magnitude ni Oppenheimer In my opinion, none of the other 9 films comes close to what Oppenheimer has achieved as a film. Kasi, yes, we can make a case for Poor Things na sobrang outlandish, sobrang bizarre, sobrang unique, sobrang fantastical nung kanyang vision. And in any other year, if siya ang nasa field of the films involved, I'm pretty sure na siya yung mananalo. Pero yung juggling act na ginawa ng Oppenheimer to make a very inaccessible figure of history accessible. Yung kwento niya maikwento ng sobrang merong faithfulness doon sa kung ano yung nangyari.
Without sanitizing.
Oo. Yun yung pinaka-crucial doon na wag mong isa-sanitize yung figure. Tapos, add to that the supreme talents behind the camera. Of course, led by Nolan. Pero kahit dun sa cinematography, si Hoyt van Hoytma, yung editing, Jennifer Hale, production, ako sa akin, production design, kahit sasabihin natin na Poor Things will win,
strong din naman.
Strong din siya
In all aspects nga.
Talaga. It's a film that just stuns you. na yung achievement na yon, making a movie feel epic and intimate at the same time, na hindi jarring It's not an easy thing to do. Isang director lang ang alam kong ganun nakakagawa maliban kay Nolan, and that's Denis Villeneuve.
Oh, yes. For Dune.
Silang director bros.
May pagka-beshies nga sila, di ba?
Diba? The IMAX bros.
Oo.
Yun eh. Kung lumabas lang sana last October tong Dune,
kasama siya sa contention.
Kasama siya sa contenders talaga.
Nako.
Tapos kalaban din ni Villeneuve si Nolan. Baka manalo pa si Villeneuve. Pero buti na lang nagka-strike. Kaya inusog nila yung release date ng Dune. So good for Oppenheimer. Pero in all seriousness talaga, just sa lahat ng aspeto, Oppenheimer is the more superior film than everyone else in the field.
True. I agree.
Ikaw?
It's that special movie na talagang will go down in history as one of the best. Siya yung parang hallmark ng isang generation. Ganon. Not to mention, it is relevant in mga political climate nowadays. The prospect of war and the repercussions of that. Yung the toll of that. Doon sa mga taong in possession na pwedeng mag-decide ng fate ng isang buong henerasyon. Kasi that was Oppenheimer, 'di ba? Tsaka yun nga, yung pursuit of science and knowledge, yung ambition na yun, where does that lead you? Yung vanity, parang ang dami niyang lesson din na magre-resonate with you. He was like Icarus. He flew too close to the sun and hindi niya kinaya yung heat nung achievement niya. He is a very mysterious, enigmatic man. Pero emphasis on man. That's what Christopher Nolan did in this movie. He reminded all of us na yung creation ng atomic bomb fell on the hands of a man. One man. And lahat ng deaths na yon, siguro in a way can be attributed to him. Ang gandang i-study nung taong yon under a microscope and matuto dun sa buhay niya.
And that microscope of a film, Oppenheimer, is, I guess we can agree, a resounding success.
Yes. Kasi one of the things na importanteng ginagawa ng mga sine sa atin is it makes us ask the right questions to ourselves. Yun din yung isang ginawa ng Oppenheimer successfully.
That's true. Yun. So, I guess we agree with the odds, both of us, na although Poor Things has a strong case, talagang it's Oppenheimer for the win for this year's Best Picture.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah. But before we went, we would just like to go over some films that we've seen lately. Yes, we have been invited to the advanced screenings of these films. Some of them, we've already released our ratings. You can see it over on our Instagram page. Others, we will be releasing the full thoughts or our full review soon. Pero papahapyawan lang natin siguro yung ating mga sine na to.
It's been a busy week in movies.
Yes,
this March, actually.
Very much so. We're just, we're recording this on the night of the 7th. Pero we've had so many movies na agad.
Almost one every day.
Oo nga. And the first one being Kung Fu Panda 4.
Yep.
Yes. So we saw this last Sunday, March 3rd. Sa Ayala Malls, Manila Bay. The advanced screening, care of course, Universal Pictures.
And by the way, underrated cinema.
Yes. Oo.
Ang ganda dun.
If you happen to have the chance, isa sa mga pinakamagandang sinihan in the metro, ang Ayala Malls, Manila Bay. Just real quick, I thought Kung Fu Panda 4 was still working with yung formula, which is just let Jack Black loose.
Yeah.
At this point, Poe is Jack Black talaga.
Also, he is Bowser.
Yun pa. Oo.
Parang naririnig ko pa rin si Bowser habang nanonood sa kanya eh.
Parang ano siya, yung dun sa Kung Fu Panda, parang siyang yung cool, good guy brother ni Bowser. Yung si Po. Yung kanyang story, siguro I'd say, was a step down from Kung Fu Panda 3. Kasi sobrang ganda na ng ending na niya eh, nung trilogy eh. Ang linis na nung 3 and sobrang emotional din.
Yes, agree.
Pero siguro I think na they were trying to pass the baton, I guess. Na parang,
so to speak, pwede, you can say that. Pero, yeah, Po is still gonna be Po. Siya pa rin talaga yung bida, Kung Fu Panda. He's the titular character. How can you pass the baton to somebody who is not a panda?
True.
No spoilers.
Yeah, that's true. Pero, and I think this is the first and only time I've heard so far na tinawag niya yung sarili niyang The Kung Fu Panda.
First time siyang binanggit sa movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Oo, kasi lagi siyang si Dragon Warrior, ganun. Pero ngayon sabi niya parang, who are you? I am the Kung Fu Panda. Parang siyang, okay, wow. Alam mo yung Leo pointing at TV meme? Yung ganun, uy, I know that. Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, another movie that I saw, I took on the duty to watch this film. 3 Days, 2 Nights in Poblacion. It's a Filipino movie, first offering of Black Cap Pictures. And stars Jasmine Curtis Smith, Barbie Imperial, and JM De Guzman. So, yun, medyo nakakakiliti ng brain yung makita ang poblasyon in a positive light.
Well, okay.
Kasi medyo underutilized yung paggamit nun eh. Meron tayong red light district eh. Pero hindi siya masyadong ginagamit sa pelikula para sa akin. Or maybe I haven't seen those movies yet. Pero for the Gen Z, Pobla ang tawag nila dito sa poblasyon. Nightlife is very much alive there. And I'm happy to see stories na yun yung setting.
Okay.
And this is about two best friends. May conflict and everything. The typical best friend tale. It was fun. It was enjoyable. And yeah, I think maraming mga beshies ang makaka-relate dito.
I'm pretty sure. Yes. So, next one that ito naman I saw. So, I was our representative for this one.
Sa sobrang dami ng movies, na tayo.
Nag-overlap na sila.
Nagso-solo duties na tayo.
True. And this movie actually overlaps with the next one you'll be talking about after me. Pero let's go over quickly yung Brave Citizen.
Yeah.
South Korean action comedy drama. Okay.
Tatlong genre. This one stars Shin Hae-sun and Lee Jun-young. Okay. Mabilisan lang, it's about this teacher na dating parang boxing champion. Tapos ngayon nagte-tempt na lang siya sa mga schools. Tapos nakatapat siya ng parang estudyante dun sa bagong school niya na bully. So, tinry niya munang gawing yung peaceful means to try to resolve the issue. Pero yun nga, sabi nga nila, kung hindi madaan sa santong dasalan. Sa santong paspasan.
Yan. I thought that this film was, well, siguro I'll say entertaining with asterisks. Kasi, and maybe this is a trend. This is actually a trend I'm seeing with the number of South Korean films that we have been seeing lately. Na sobra nilang okay, I guess for the lack of a better term, sobra nilang okay with depicting very, very real suffering or using very real depictions of suffering as far as they can show it in film. Kasi yung mga scenes ng bullying nung sa sine, I don't know and I hope na there aren't any cinegeeks listening na pag napanood nila to ay parang this will remind them of something they experienced, pero I'm pretty sure na somebody will be triggered dun sa sobrang visceral and real and for the lack of a better term again, ang evil nung bad guy dito. Kaya sabi kong entertaining siya asterisk kasi may mga scenes naman na may kamapans siya, I guess. Pero
not enough.
Diba? Na we're talking about this nung describe ko yung scene sa'yo na the kamapans should be as big as the
it's commensurate.
It's commensurate to the thing or the action na ipapunish. Kaya sobrang satisfying ng John Wick eh. Kasi yung ginawa sa kanya, binalik lang niya in kind. Sobra pa. Yun, dito parang tinry pa niyang kausapin, hindi gumana, tinry pa niyang dumaan sa official channels na sinabi naman ng sine na hindi naman gagana, pero ginawa pa rin niya. So, as an audience, parang tayong sabi natin, ba't hindi na lang niya diniretso? Na naging quote-unquote vigilante na lang siya. And again, this is just in the context of the film.
Yeah.
Yan, pero hindi enough. So, the action scenes were fun, were fine, and marami siya mga banat na nakakatawa. Pero yun nga, parang I just hope na mas na-punish pa yung kalaban dun sa sine.
Yeah.
Yan lang. Yep.
Okay.
Next one,
we have another horror offering from Blumhouse.
Yes.
Imaginary. It's about an imaginary friend of a child in the form of a teddy bear.
And ikaw yung nakapanood nito again solo kasi nga kasabay niya yung Brave Citizen na premiere.
Actually, we watched these 3 movies in one day.
Yung
na
Pobla,
isang araw lang tong 3 movie na
yung
to.
Pobla, yung Brave Citizen, tsaka yung Imaginary.
Yes. See what we're talking about tungkol sa busy. Anyway, Imaginary. For me, Blumhouse has a template na. And it's working. It works. I mean, people still, get their scares from Blumhouse films like this. And good on them to keep on creating movies na iba-ibang angle. Pero for me kasi, I'm a horror connoisseur. Medyo basic na siya for me eh. Medyo predictable yung mga scares niya. Actually, hindi ako nagulat at all dun sa buong duration of the movie. And I think magugustuhan to ng mga bago sa horror. Kasi this is a good gateway to the horror genre. It's not too scary. Papatulugin ka pa rin naman niya. Although kung mahilig ka sa toys, I'm not sure. Overall, for me, Imaginary it left me wanting more.
Yes.
Medyo kulang siya for me. But then again, I'm desensitized. So, see it for yourself.
That's true. Siguro pinagtatawanan natin to with the Iprapke Buddies na ito yung horror film na mas kaya namin yan, ni Leo, aka Movie Review PH on Instagram.
Yeah. And CJ Says Blog.
And CJ Says Blog, yes.
Yes.
So, para sa aming mga
Brave Citizens.
Brave Citizens for horror.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next one that we saw, ito naman, we watched this same day, itong last one that we're gonna talk about after. So, we watched Bob Marley, One Love. And by the way, this is releasing in Philippine cinemas on March 13. If you're listening to this episode, after March 13, we have released our review of this film na. Yes, pero for this recording, hindi pa. Bob Marley, One Love, I found to be very heartwarming and inspiring. Yan, ang galing ni Kingsley Ben-Adir dun sa kanyang performance as the
Bob
titular.
Marley, yeah.
Yes, Bob Marley. And one of the tidbits of information na nakuha natin because of, yung ating kay Bob Marley was Ben-Adir actually was coached by choreographer and head of movement of the film, Polly Bennett. And she actually coached Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, Austin Butler for Elvis, and Naomi Aki for I Wanna Dance With Somebody, yung kay Whitney Houston. So,
more musicians, no?
Yung
kino-coach niya.
Kino-coach niya. So, dun sa tatlong yun, I would say na talagang the performances are the center of the films, and this is no different. Itong One Love, and of course the music is timeless. Ako personally may konting daya eh. May konting daya yung mga biopic eh. Katulad nito, especially sa musicians, kasi kapag nadinig natin na yung mga kanta nila, parang matik na kiliti na agad tayo eh. Nakakakanta ka na, lalo na yung mga familiar songs niya like yung I Shot the Sheriff, tsaka yung
No Woman No Cry.
No Woman No Cry, tsaka yung ang title nun yung Don't Worry.
Three Little Birds.
Yun ba yan? Okay, yun, Three Little Birds.
May 3 bibe.
Yun. Yung pag nadidinig mo yun siya, it just parang automatically gives you parang goodwill towards the film eh.
Or puts you in a good mood.
Oo, na parang walang talo eh. Matik na walang talo pag biopic ng musician eh. Kasi lalo na pag paborito mo yung singer.
True.
Diba? Like doon sa Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oo.
Yan, ang daming nating maninitpick doon noon. Pero dahil we're Queen
Our
fans.
love for Freddie Mercury is greater.
And I mean, you have to give props din naman doon sa ending ng Bohemian na talagang they got the Live Aid part. Sobrang mwah.
At least we experienced that.
Yan, true. And the same here din, na yung concerts ni Bob na are pivotal to, I guess, the political history of Jamaica. Yan. Siguro yun din yung isang parang kailangan isipin ng audiences going in is, this is not a straightforward biopic eh. It's how he is a player doon sa parang civil unrest or how he tried to quell it through his own means nung panahon yung bubuhay siya sa Jamaica anyway.
Yes.
Yan. Good film. Go see it when it comes out on March 13. Okay.
Just and by the way Lashana Lynch also
sorry, I
shined.
forgot too. Galing niya as Rita Marley.
The wife of Bob Marley. She was fantastic.
Yes.
And last but not the least.
Of course. Very much so not the least. Is the 2023 remake of The Color Purple. The remake of the 1985 classic from the novel from 1982 or 83, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, ayun nga, yung classic na 85 movie starring si Whoopi Goldberg and si Oprah Winfrey. And I think Whoopi won an Oscar for this, if I'm not mistaken. Tama ba?
Alam ko naghakot to ng Oscars nung taon na lumabas to eh. Talagang one of those classics na some people, I heard, said na it didn't need a remake.
Well, that is true. Marami naman ganun eh.
Although, this one, yung 2023, was a musical.
Well, yung kasing musical, okay, was made in 2005 or nag-premiere siya in 2005.
Sa Broadway?
Sa Broadway.
Okay.
Yes.
Medyo nauuso yun, no? Kasi yung Mean Girls, ganun din.
Yun din, exactly. Tama. Yun. So parang, kung si Mean Girls, meron nung Mean Girls musical, same kay Color Purple. This one stars Fantasia Barrino as Celie, yung role ni Whoopi Goldberg nun. And for a short role, si Halle Bailey as Nettie. You may know her as The Little Mermaid. Dun sa live-action adaptation ni Disney. Also, the cast includes, actually stacked nga tong cast na to. Kasama si Coleman Domingo. Woo! Sobrang galing
amazing
niya.
In this movie, yes.
And si, Taraji P. Henson. Woo! Galing din. Sobra. And of course, Academy Award nominee, Danielle Brooks. Woo! Ang galing din niya dito.
For Best Supporting
Actress. Pero I thought this movie was fantastic. Talaga.
It was Fantasia.
Sobrang talagang may tayo may napag-usapan tayo with the Eprap K-Buddies nun na merong musical and merong may all caps musical, merong small caps musical.
Shout out to JD.
And
pinaglaban niya talaga.
And to Mark. Maganda pang movie.
Yeah.
So sinasabi natin na yung mga parang yung Mean Girls na musical, yun yung small caps.
It's a movie with musical numbers.
Yun. Pero ito yung all caps musical eh. Talagang gumagalaw yung kwento dun sa mga kanta. And well, again, the songs are great. Nako-compare ko siya dun sa parang yung mga La La Land na mga numbers.
Damien Chazelle, no?
Mga Paul and Pasek, yung nagsulat nung libreto nung sa La La Land.
Ang ganda. And you know what? It made sense kasi this movie was produced by Quincy Jones. So, meron talagang musician at the helm. That's why all the songs were so catchy. And ang ganda ng pagkakasulat.
Actually, si Quincy Jones din na nag-produce nung last one, nung 85. Yan.
With Steven Spielberg. But this time, it was also produced together with Oprah Winfrey. Yeah. Overall, ano mo? Initial thoughts mo about Color Purple?
I thought it was fantastic talaga. Ikaw?
I think this is up there. One of my top musical movies in terms of songs. Ang ganda ng mga songs niya talaga. And yung performances din. I'm disappointed na hindi to masyadong na-recognize.
Oo nga. Ako din. I mean, pero with that much pedigree behind the camera, parang hindi siya naipaglaban.
And Steven Spielberg produced, ha?
Yun na nga eh.
Pero watch this. This is a spectacular film.
Color
Ganda
Purple
niya.
is exclusively playing in SM Cinemas. So please go ahead and see this right away when you have the chance. Yan.
So that's it for our predictions for this year's Oscars. If you have predictions of your own for this year's Academy Awards, please share it with us by commenting on our social media accounts or down below on our Spotify episode page.
And don't forget to set your players to automatically download our new episodes so you don't miss out on our fun Cinegeek conversations. And while you're at it, please leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you had fun or if you learned something new during this episode.
For my co-host Troy, this has been Angela. Thank you for listening to the Cinegeeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide.